It was the 14th minute at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Kylian Mbappe received the ball from Michael Olise, took one touch to set his feet, and drove a fizzing left-footed strike from outside the box into the back of the net. France won, Iraq 0. The crowd roared. The defending world champions were in control. And then the sky above Philadelphia decided it had something to say. By the time the first half ended, France 1, Iraq 0, Mbappe's 15th career World Cup goal already in the record book, the storm that had been gathering across the Northeast had arrived with everything it carried. Heavy rain, 60-mile-per-hour winds, lightning inside the 8-mile safety radius of the stadium. The screens at Lincoln Financial Field lit up with a single instruction. A severe thunderstorm is approaching. Please exit the open seating area and seek shelter in the stadium as directed by stadium staff. The players walked off the pitch, the fans moved to the concourses, and the 2026 FIFA World Cup produced something it had never produced before in its entire 94-year history. A match suspended mid-game by weather. Not delayed before kickoff, not postponed, suspended in the middle of it at halftime. For 2 hours and 11 minutes, counting the halftime interval, while lightning struck and the storm passed, and 60,000 people waited in the corridors of a stadium in Pennsylvania, watching the rain fall on an empty pitch. FIFA had promised the world a perfect tournament. The weather in Philadelphia tonight reminded the world that some things are bigger than FIFA. Stay with us, because the story of what happened in Philadelphia before and after that storm is one of the most dramatic chapters this World Cup has yet produced. The Lightning Protocol is not FIFA's creation. It is the law of the United States. If lightning is detected within 8 miles of an outdoor stadium, the game must be stopped for a minimum of 30 minutes. The clock restarts every time a new strike occurs within that radius, which means that the initial announcement of a 30-minute delay was, by the nature of the storm, subject to extension every time the skies flashed again. And they did, repeatedly. Iraq coach Graham Arnold sat in the changing room for over 2 hours. He used it. He showed his players footage from the first half. He pointed to the areas where France had hurt them. He talked through adjustments. He prepared his team as professionally as any coach could prepare a team for resuming a World Cup match after a 2-hour storm delay, something that had never happened before and for which no coaching manual could fully prepare him. "There was nothing I could do, really," Arnold said afterward. "I showed them some footage from the first half, just a few bits, so they could see where France was hurting us." Nothing he could do. About a storm, about the weather, about the fact that his team, who had been absorbing France's first-half pressure with reasonable discipline, now had to walk back into a Philadelphia summer night after 2 hours of waiting and find the legs and the focus to defend for another 45 minutes against one of the tournament's strongest squads. If you are following every story of this World Cup, subscribe now and hit the bell, because what happened when the second half finally began is where the night became something else entirely. France emerged from the delay looking, if anything, more dangerous than before. Iraq emerged looking like a team whose concentration had been fractured by 2 hours of waiting in a changing room while a thunderstorm rattled the windows. And Iraqi's short goal kick went directly to Ousmane Dembélé. The ball should never have been there. The error was total. Dembélé did what world-class players do with gifts of this magnitude. He squared it across the face of goal for Mbappe to slide in his 16th career World Cup goal. Not a stroke of tactical genius, a catastrophic mistake by a team already under enormous pressure. Punished immediately. 16. The number that matters enormously at this World Cup, because 16 is where Miroslav Klose's all-time scoring record stands, and Mbappe has now matched it. The Germany legend set his mark across 4 World Cups, 16 matches. Mbappe has reached the same figure in his 3rd tournament, having scored 1 goal in this match alone after a 2-hour delay in a thunderstorm in Philadelphia. He is 27 years old. Messi is still 2 ahead of him at 18, but Mbappe has the time and the form to end this tournament as the greatest World Cup scorer of all time. Then Dembélé, who had waited 20 appearances at major tournaments across his career to score at one, finally found the net himself. A precise finish into the bottom corner after Olise slipped him through with the kind of pass that only the very best create. France 3, Iraq 0. The match effectively ended as a contest. But it was not the goals that will define the night's conversation. It was what happened in the minutes before the delay. Because France versus Iraq at the 2026 World Cup has already been the site of one of this tournament's most disputed VAR decisions. In France's opening group match against Senegal, Mbappe was denied what appeared to be a clear penalty after a foul in the box. VAR reviewed it. The decision stood. No penalty. The football world erupted. Analysts and former officials who reviewed the footage could not agree on whether the call was correct. The incident generated more post-match discussion than the result itself. Tonight, Mbappe arrived at his second group match carrying that controversy with him, and for the watching world, already sensitized to the VAR debate by Algeria's formal complaint about the Messi challenge, by the disallowed Taremi goal against Belgium, by the landmark mouth-covering red card, every close decision involving a marquee player is now examined with a level of scrutiny that previous tournaments never demanded. The VAR controversy at this 2026 World Cup has a pattern that analysts are beginning to name explicitly. Decision after decision involving the tournament's highest-profile players, Messi, Mbappe, Taremi, is generating disputes that are not simply the usual post-match disagreements about refereeing. They are disputes that are feeding a growing suspicion about whether the technology meant to bring clarity is instead creating a new category of uncertainty applied inconsistently at the most important moments of the most important matches. Algeria have formally complained to FIFA about the Messi challenge in writing from Zurich. That complaint is sitting unanswered in FIFA's offices as this tournament moves into its second week. South Africa's coach referenced the same incident when discussing his own player's 3-match ban. The contrast between one player receiving no card for a challenge that multiple analysts called a red card and another player receiving 3 matches for a foul judged differently is the kind of comparison that does not go away when the next game begins.
And now, added to all of that, a 2-hour weather delay in Philadelphia that has raised a separate question nobody at FIFA headquarters had fully planned for. What happens if it is not Philadelphia but Dallas in July? What if it is not rain and lightning but extreme heat and the wet bulb readings crossing FIFA's mandatory threshold during a knockout match? What if the delay is not 2 hours at halftime but something that cannot be resolved before midnight? FIFA's weather protocol for this tournament states that matches will be resumed whenever conditions are deemed safe. There is no provision for rescheduling a match to a different day during the group stage. The priority is to finish on the scheduled date, which means that when France and Iraq walked back out at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 hours after they had walked off, it was not because FIFA had a good option. It was because they had no other option. The 2025 FIFA Club World Cup, played across many of the same venues, experienced similar weather delays across multiple matches, including a Chelsea versus Benfica game that lasted over 4 hours. The pattern was there to see. The North American summer does not simply produce heat, it produces storms. It produces the kind of weather that American football and baseball have built their rain delay cultures around for generations. Football, played outdoors in the same stadiums in the same summers, has now entered that same world. This was only Group I on the 22nd of June, 9 days into the tournament, 77 matches still to be played, the knockout rounds beginning in 10 days, the round of 16, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, the final on the 19th of July in New Jersey,